We Are Pretty Cure is an excellent show. The attacks are beautiful, the transformations after the kind of slow first one are beautiful, the physical combat gives it a much more grounded feeling than most magical girl anime, and the three protagonists are all a lot of fun. But one thing about it is weird. Not only did it age really well, it just doesn't feel like as much of an old show as something like, say, Sailor Moon. Now, of course, Sailor Moon is much older than Precure, but even something much closer in time like Tokyo Mew Mew just feels at least a decade older. That's not to say it feels modern. They don't really make 100-episode shows anymore, sadly, but you get the point. Why is this? Well, it's for a few reasons. The first is the animation style. The animation is quite different from a lot of early 2000s anime. The eyes aren't that big, the hair is different, their proportions are flatter, and it just feels more 2D? I don't know how to describe it. It looks almost like a Western show. There's also the issue of the opening, which feels weirdly superhero-y. It, like the animation, feels a lot like its own thing. The animation is also pretty good when they're not trying to do 3D. The final note is that I've been lying slightly by using movie footage, which has a 16:9 ratio, whereas the show prop has a 4:3 ratio. Another reason is the general dissimilarity to Sailor Moon, relative to the genre, of course. It is still a magical girl anime. The show only has two protagonists instead of a large crew. They aren't as brightly colored, they don't look way older than they are, and the romance is near irrelevant. That's not to say there are no similarities, as our relatable 14-year-old with terrible grades and bright hair, which is yellow if you squint, who often oversleeps, likely takes at least some inspiration. The one who really looks like Usagi is of course Hikari, but she sure doesn't act like her, being much more reserved. Oh, and Meeple and Maple are of course very traditional for the genre. The transformations with their sparkling silhouettes being dressed by magic also likely take some inspiration, though that is generally the default magical girl transformation, with its absence being more notable than its presence. The powers of Black and White are also not particularly elemental, instead they can generally only be used when holding hands, in which case they summon a single attack. This binds the cures together really well in my opinion, making them feel more like two halves of one whole, but more importantly, making them feel different from other early 2000s magical girls, as there could never really be a loner in the group, and they literally could not fight alone if they tried. This general difference from trends makes dating them unconsciously more difficult. There is also the issue of certain problematic content or lack thereof. A lot of magical girl shows, and anime in general, have stuff which is just completely insane. Be that wild age gaps, incest, lollies and skimpy clothes, sexual assault, or whatever, some anime are just insane. That's not even a moral condemnation, just a description. Precure has none of this. Okay, that's a lie. In the year 2000, the lesbian side characters would have probably gotten some criticism. But the fact is, both of those actually make the show feel newer. This is because, as of recording, gay relationships are considered acceptable in mainstream society. This makes the presence of girls who like girls make the show feel newer to a Western audience. Whereas the absence of anything otherwise deviant also makes the show feel newer, as we tend to associate that with older shows. This is of course a false assumption. Anime has had age gaps and incest and whatever since the dawn of time and will probably have it till the heat death of the universe. But it's true that certain Western cartoons have gotten more sanitized on these topics. It's also worth noting that the strongest taboos in Japanese society are generally more about respect for people, such as parents, teachers, and traditions, rather than around creepy relationships such as is the case in English-speaking countries. That's not to say there's no stigma around such relationships. They are illegal after all. Just that it's not such that certain content creators can't get away with being weird. And on this front as well, Precure is very socially acceptable. That's not a moral criticism either. The insane stuff needs the fluff to avoid desensitization, and the fluff needs the insane stuff as a contrast to maintain its pure image. Interestingly, Splash Star, the Precure sequel, feels almost less progressive, with Moya feeling more like a homophobic stereotype than anything else. There is of course also the fact that good storytelling is to an extent timeless, and Precure is a damn good story. If you like this video, consider liking and subscribing to see more like it, and if you have anything to add, I'd love to hear it.